Garbage. Enough of the garbage. Okay, what's up, guys? What's going on? Waiting for Dana. Not sure where she is. She might be in traffic. I have no idea. She has the link. When she's ready, she can come on. We're going to talk a little bit about Carlo Gambino if she comes in. If Dana doesn't make it tonight, we're not doing it. I'm only doing it with her. Do you understand? Do you get it? Understand the story? Get it right? Hopefully our flow is good. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at all of you. Hopefully we're flowing nicely. I do not know. I cannot tell. We should not be lagging. We should have a good oh, there's Dana right there. We should have a good stream right now, guys. Are we looking good? Dana's getting pretty in the background. I'll put her up in a couple of minutes. You go, girl. Do what you got to do back there. All right. Oh my God. You give me the thumbs up when you're ready. Dana's in the back getting settled in. Take your time. We're in no rush here, Dana. No rush. Do what you got to do. You good to go? All right, here we go. We got Dana right there. Let me change the background. Hold on a minute. Let's make this right. We got this here. Oh, we got this.
Ooh, I like it.
You like that one or you like that one? Or that?
Ooh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah, that's cool, right?
Yeah, that was better.
That is awesome. All right. So I just sent you the link. That's how it goes. Bang, bang. You hit it. Were you running? What do you run? Your traffic or anything? Or you're good?
No, I went and did some Veterans Day things today. So I was out. I went to Olive Garden. I went to a planetarium. You get all kinds of free stuff on Veterans Day. So yeah.
Oh, that's right, because you are a veteran.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We got to thank you for that. That's interesting. What does it feel like when you wake up on a day like this? Do you feel something different?
No, not really.
Really?
If I'm being honest, I think that like I didn't go into combat. So I think that makes a huge difference. Like when you go to the Middle East and you do some like, actual veteran shit, you might feel more like a veteran. But like I don't feel like I did anything. So I don't really like feel too much of a I don't know. I don't even think I was ever in the military.
Hold on. I gotta put this up right there. Oh my God. Because Gianni right away. Olive Garden.
Olive Garden. I love it. Listen, okay. Hey. I don't care. I like Olive Garden. It's good. And it's like the only place in New York that does anything for Veterans Day. New York does not.
Really? Is that true? That's terrible.
There's two places. There's Applebee's and Olive Garden. That's it.
That's it? Really? In the whole New York City?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't in New York City. I was on Long Island, so.
Still, that's not okay.
I went to the planetarium, and I'm pretty sure it was like a devil worshipping place. It was very weird.
What in the world goes on?
I swear to God, there was like the Cerberus 3-headed dog, and the number 13 was in front of it. I was getting all kinds of creeped out, man.
What the hell? Where did it come up with that?
How was your day? How are you
good.
doing?
Yeah, good. Just busy doing what we do, moving around. I make it known that this is not our primary thing that we do here. We have lives. We work. We have careers. We're doing things. We're living life. So, we're kicking this around. I figured I would start it off with Carlo Gambino. This is our first show really doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a Carlo Gambino type of crowd. I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know what it is. So we'll dip into it a little bit. But let's greet everybody first. Let's see who we got here. Let's go up to the top. This is what you got to do. You got to interact with your people. We do this as an interactive. We're not pushing stuff down people's throats. We do it interactive. We value opinions, right? That's how you should do it,
Absolutely.
So look at my boy Thien do. The first thing, long live Carlo, the greatest of all time. Oh, we're going to go right down the line. Detroit City, 41 Buttons in Belleville, New Jersey. Maureen, hello, Maureen. Nice to see you tonight. Baywatcher, what's happening? Delilah. All right, let's keep on going. The Stony Tony's here. Yep. A lot of people don't do this. I think it's the most important thing to do, my opinion. These are the people that come and support you, and they come in. Susan, Stephen Marinello. Get down. Lance 33. What's up, my man? How you doing, Lance? Hope you hit those football numbers over the weekend. Maureen right there again.
Oh, I know Catalano.
Man 141.
Catalano, you from New York?
Johnny's from wait. Johnny's from where is he at? He's up by hold on a minute. Hold on. Right there. William at Brooklyn. NJ Wise Guy. Dave T from Boston Laborers. He's like in the Providence area, I think.
Oh, okay.
Stephen Marinello. Joey Pope from Hell's Kitchen right there. Right from Hell's Kitchen. We got Joey Pope for my dog Buzz right there. Adam Cavorcier. All right. Detroit Sidgy again. Delilah. Let's see. All right. Wow.
I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts, but yes, I have family in New York. Are they on Long Island? Do you have someone in your family named Jamie?
Oh,
Which
boy.
is interesting that like that name would pop out because the one that I know, she like Sammy the Bull had mentioned a few times that they were like family. He used to come out to my neck of the woods to hang out at that house.
Hello, George. Nice to see you. All right, Bobo is here. We got a good amount of people in here. Let's dip into it a little bit. Let's see. Let me get down to the bottom here. Wow, we got a lot of people coming in. Nice group tonight. Very nice group. Sammy Hefbuckle. Yeah, the shoes, right? Yes, we had a good day. Everybody had a good day. Listen, you got to make it a good day, even if it's not going to be. You got to just keep on piling through, pushing through. All right, let's get into a little Carlo. Oh, here you go.
Huh. That makes sense. I know a Catalano. I went to school with one. I don't know if maybe it was a relative. It's not a very common name. I only met the one girl that ever had the last name.
Hello, Harlow, Gerard. Nice to see you. All right, let's go back in time here. Well, we're not really going way back in time. We're going back to Carlo Gambino a little bit.
Yes, let's do it.
So you're not a fan.
I don't hate him as much as I did a week ago.
Oh my God.
Hi. So yeah, when I first started doing this series, I hated him. I couldn't stand him. People kept asking me to do an episode on him, and I was like, no, I hate him. I won't do it. But I got over it. I was sad. I hate Vito Genovese, and that is really like my main issue is that I cannot stand that man.
No.
So so that's why I hated Carlo Gambino. It was just kind of like a guilty by association thing. It was never anything. I mean, his part in the murder of Albert Anastasia was really what I hated him for. But, you know, he redeemed himself a little bit. He helped get rid of Vito Genovese. So, you know, you got to.
But Vito was pushing for that murder.
So the murder
Vito was
Carlo Gambino. It's because they wanted Carlo Gambino to take over as boss of the family. But yeah, it was definitely Vito Genovese that was the driving force. Well, because they had tried to take out they did everything they could to get rid of Frank Costello. They had to get rid of Albert Anastasia because Albert Anastasia was just never going to stop. He was just going to keep on going to avenge Frank Costello. So that's where he was kind of pushed into doing that. Not that you could push a guy like Carlo Gambino into doing anything. Gambino he was his own man. He came here as a stowaway. Yeah. You know what I mean? He really. And by like his 20s, 30s, he was already, a name to be admired or reckoned with there. He was something already. But Vito was slimy. Not many people realize that. Vito was a slimy guy. Vito as slimy as they come.
He was the worst. Not many people know that now.
If ever there was a driving factor that would have contributed to Mussolini winning the war over in Italy, it was Vito Genovese. Genovese dumped almost $1 billion into the campaign for Mussolini to try to help him move more and more and more south because Mussolini started out in the north of Italy. And Genovese just kept pumping millions and millions and millions of dollars into bringing him, like he would build bases further and further down south in Italy. And then he would just terrorize American troops. He would find any like food trucks that were going to the American troops to try to get them like ammo or food or anything like that. And he would rob them. He would terrorize the troops to try to make it so that Mussolini would win. But the problem with that is that Lucky Luciano had already like greased those wheels. He had gotten in touch with Italy like, hey, I'm in jail right now for 40 to 60. I'm going to spend the rest of my life in jail if we don't help America get through Italy. So the mafia, the Italian citizens, everybody else was already standing back and not doing anything. It was literally just the Italian police, the Germans, and like all of the Axis power military, and Vito Genovese that were fighting the American troops. That's it. Everybody else
Wow.
was helping them.
That is unbelievable. That
So
is
it's frustrating.
unbelievable. I can't, you know what I'm going to do? My girl's father is Sicilian. He's from Sicily, 94 years old. I'm going to try and have him watch this after we do this because they're related to the Gambinos, you know, and there's a whole connection there. So that stuff is interesting. The Mussolini stuff, I didn't know any of that. That's crazy.
And most people don't know that super interesting history that like literally America never in a million years would have won World War II without Lucky Luciano. Like never would have happened. So what happened was Lucky Luciano, he got 40 to 60 years for compensatory prostitution. Meaning that like he went and he rounded up a bunch of girls and he forced them into prostitution. Didn't actually happen, but they wanted him off the streets. So they got him with that and he's sitting in jail. So then they start like having a seriously hard time getting into Europe. You know, D-Day happened and they're just not getting there. Like, we don't know what to do. So what do? They go to Albert Anastasia and they go to Lucky Luciano and they go and they say, hey, we'll commute your sentence. We'll let you out of jail early if you help us here, because we're gonna lose. Like this is we're getting wiped out. D-Day, it was just a massacre. We were getting mutilated. We need some help.
Oh my God.
So they had Lucky Luciano go and get in touch with all the big dudes in Italy, and he got in touch with them and said, hey, we're gonna help the Americans. We're going to let them get through Italy so they can go through Italy into France and they can not deal with D-Day type shit. They could just go right in and fight the Germans and end the Holocaust. So,
look at this.
Because Lucky Luciano was doing that, he got them all on board and everybody was on board. Usually when America goes and they invade a country, you have all of the citizens fighting too. Look at like Iraq, look at the Middle East. You got citizens fighting. That's not what was happening in Italy. The Italian police and all of them, they were still fighting because they didn't want America there. But when they finally got past a certain point, Italy turned around and said, okay, you win. We'll be an allied power. Cool. But that all happened because of Lucky Luciano. And if Lucky Luciano hadn't been in prison in order to help America win World War II, to this day, we have no idea. We could be freaking speaking German. Who knows?
No idea what it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It wouldn't be what it is right now. It wouldn't be what it is right now. Look at this. Gianni's comment. Lucian helps with the war. Meanwhile, Vito, cozied up
with Mussolini is just like an understatement. Vito Genovese literally funded Mussolini's campaign. I would say a minimum of $20 million he dumped into building bases, getting food for the Italian army that were fighting against the Italian citizens. Like he was horrible.
He was on the same level as Mussolini.
He was worse than Mussolini because at least Mussolini was like calling the shots. Now Mussolini was like a different kind of evil. He ran out guys like Luciano and Vito Genovese. All of those guys ran away from Italy and came to America because the laws that Mussolini put in place, it pretty much said like, you can go into, if you suspect that somebody has something to do with the mafia, just go kill them. And if you think that killing them will do more harm than good, then kill their families. And if there's not a law that says that's okay, write it. I don't care. And that's why everybody started running from Italy. That's why you see the whole mafia pick up from Italy and come over to America, because he literally told them you can write laws to do the brutal shit that you want to do.
Crazy. That's the Machiavellian mentality.
Yep.
Right here, the Prince. I got it right here all the time. That's that mentality, and it's true. It's real.
Yeah. And it was horrible what he did. He literally would just tell them like, oh, just go like hold a knife to their wife's throat and make them promise to not be in the mafia anymore. And then when they say okay, slit the wife's throat. Like that level of brutality.
So it was Vito who had Vinny the Chin try to clip Costello, right?
Yes.
So he was a fucking terrorist.
He was so bad. So, and that's why I kind of didn't like Carlo Gambino because, okay, so the whole thing was Vito Genovese went to Carlo Gambino and was like, listen, I really want to be boss and I'm not boss yet. And I'm really not happy with that. So what we're going to do is
Oh my.
I'm going to take out my boss. And if they come after me, because we know that Luciano and Albert Anastasia, they're all going to come after me. But at the end of the day, Lucky Luciano has already been extradited. He's not allowed in America.
No. Yes, he
And
was already.
at that time, Joe Adonis had also just gotten extradited. And that's really important because for like a few reasons, but the biggest reason being that he's the main supporter. So now we got all the super powerful supporters. They're gone. They're extradited. They're in Italy. They can't do anything about it. So now I want, because now all the big supporters are gone, I want to take over as boss of the family. So what's going to happen is I'm going to kill Costello. And when they come back after me, you're going to have my back. And then if you have my back and don't let me get killed, we'll take out your boss and we'll make you boss of the family. And then, you know, it's just like they did really dirty shit. Like they went to Albert Anastasia and they convinced him that he was like at war with Meyer Lansky. They convinced him that Meyer Lansky was screwing him over and that he had to like move in on territory in Cuba and everything. And by the time they killed Anastasia, guys like Meyer Lansky and Lucky Luciano, they were looking at it as a favor to get rid of Albert Anastasia because he wasn't the brightest. So they were able to manipulate him into like, oh yeah, I'm going to move in on your territory. I'm going to try to take a piece of your rackets. And they didn't like that. And he only did that because of Vito Genovese and Carlo Gambino. They were like, oh yeah, we're boys, you know, giving him advice. Oh, you should do this and that. And then he did it. And then they got the okay to take him out.
So do you think Carlo just went along with it, knowing that his future would be bright? He had to kind of go along with Vito Genovese, or otherwise he would become a victim, a target. Vito will go to somebody else to take out Don Carlo.
So
if Don Carlo says, "No, I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. That is no way this can work." Right away, he's resisting, and then Vito Genovese is going to pollute other people's minds about Carlo Gambino.
It could have been, and I think.
So did he have no choice to go with it, or was he saying, "The big picture here is eventually I'm going to be the man about town"? Maybe because he was very shrewd. Listen, Don Carlo was very smart, very shrewd. Mm-hmm. He knew what he was doing, and he proved himself. You know, he proved himself in his young years. But Vito held that thing over him a little bit. Maybe he just felt intimidated, or it was a mixture of a lot of things. I'm looking at the big picture here. I can take this somewhere else. I got to pacify him. I cannot go against him. Mm-hmm. Maybe. Who knows? It's hard to say. You know, it's hard to say.
And I mean, to a degree, I do think there was that level of like playing political games, you know, like, and mm-hmm. At the same time, I do think it had a lot to do with the fact that I'm going to say this and it's going to sound stupid, but it's not. I promise it's not. If you look at a map of where all of these guys are from in Italy, you got Vito Genovese, Vincent the Chin Gigante, Carlo Gambino. They're all from one place. Okay. Yeah. So like Luciano is from, I believe, somewhere near Palermo, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure where he's
Genovese? From. I'm not sure.
No, Luciano. But Genovese, he's from like somewhere near Castellamare del Golfo. Because I only know that, like, I never looked into where he's from, but I do know that my family members came over on a boat with a Gigante and a Genovese, and they came over from Tunisi. So he had to have been from somewhere in that area. All right. But you got Carlo Gambino. He's from
Palermo.
You got Salvatore Maranzano, Bonanno. They're all from Castellamare. They're all in this little tiny pocket. Yeah. So now Albert Anastasia, he's from like way up there. He's not from Sicily. I'm pretty sure Anastasia is from like somewhere near like Naples.
I'm not sure.
So when you're
Genovese is Napoleon. Genovese is from Naples. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're looking at who you're going to trust, it's somewhere along the lines of, I'm going to trust the person that is from where I'm from.
Yeah.
I trust
my paisans. My paisans. Yeah. 100%.
War. That war literally happened because it was like, oh, you're from the town over from me. I want you dead. You know, like they were freaking crazy.
So Calabrese, Frank, Napoleon, Genovese, and Carlo Gambino, Palermo, 1902, right in it.
Yeah.
1902, born right there in it. I mean,
That's
right
like
there.
the prime time, and I would have given anything to be born at that time. I was born at the wrong time.
I know we both were. That's crazy, right? It's crazy.
My
But then when you do all your research and you come up with things, you kind of see that Don Carlo, after your first impression or thoughts of him were definitely no good, negative. As you did your stuff and you started to come across some things, you realize that he probably was better than most. I don't know.
So yes and no. I do think, first of all, he was such a hypocrite. Oh my God. Like the same things I hate a lot of these guys for is things I have a problem with him for. So like, what is Carlo Gambino most well known for? Closing the books from 1957 until the year that he died. The year he died, I think it was
76.
76. So from 1957 to 1976, the books were closed. They opened back up in 1976.
But remember this, Dana. He had 500 made guys and 1,000 associates at that time.
But remember, where does Carlo Gambino come from? He comes from the Castello Merisi War, right? In the Castello Merisi War, he was in the Young Turks. Okay. The Young Turks, their whole mission statement was like, we want young blood getting in there. We don't want the mustache Pete's to take over and hold the reign. We want fresh blood. We want fresh ideas. We want, and then he fought for that. And then once he became a mustache Pete, he closed the books because he didn't want the young bucks around anymore. He didn't want the fresh ideas. He didn't want the Americanized guys. Meanwhile, that was what the mustache Pete's thought of him.
That's true. Maybe he had to let it filter out all the negative that led him up to being in the position that he was in.
Yeah.
Maybe he was just trying to stabilize. Who knows?
Fair, but how are you going to fight a war on one front and then the second you get what you want, turn around and fight the opposite war? You know what I mean? It's like
hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. Yeah, it's hypocrisy.
So that
the whole life is hypocrisy. But the whole life.
But there is a lot of really cool things about him. I mean, I do got to say, like, there's a lot of things that I'm like, okay, yeah, that was really cool that you did that. Did you ever hear about, I was reading the FBI files and I never heard of it until I read the FBI files. So I think like 99% of people had never heard of this. There was this one time where, cause he was big into bootlegging. Like alcohol was his thing, man. The only time he ever went to jail was when he was caught with 8,100, I believe 152 gallons of untaxed alcohol. And this is after Prohibition. But he just didn't want to pay taxes on it. So one time he went to jail for, and then another time, I guess one of his stills, it had like a whole bunch of jugs of illegal alcohol and stuff. And the feds came through and they were like, all right, we're busting this joint. We're taking this alcohol. And he sent his guys to go down there and they held these cops at gunpoint while they loaded all the illegal alcohol onto trucks. And they were like, yeah, this is Carlo Gambino's alcohol. You ain't taking this. They held guns to the cops' heads, took off with all the alcohol and left the cops there. Didn't touch a hair on their head, didn't hurt them, but left them there with an empty factory. And I just think that is like the most boss thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's amazing, right? So that's where, you fast forward and so isn't it weird how you see the Gambino name should carry on, I guess, but the Genovese name, coming from such a sleazy bastard that he was, Genovese, they became one of the most, in that world, honorable names. That family dug out of that and got some A-list guys through the years. They're known as the Ivy League of it.
Yeah.
How did they turn that around? The cruise over, is that Vinny the Chin turning it around?
Oh yeah. And you got to remember, the name of the family has absolutely nothing to do with, he was a great leader, so we decided we were going to keep it was Valachi. Like, if we really look at why the family is known as the Genovese family, it's not because he was good. It's not because he did anything. The only reason is he was the boss at the time that Joseph Valachi came forward and did his testimony. Carlo Gambino, Joseph Bonanno, Joe fucking Colombo and the last one.
So they needed a name, obviously, for commission. They had to have a name of so
yeah.
they had to
So
have a name.
when Joseph Valachi testified, they said, "Who is the bosses of these 5 families that you're talking about?" And he said, "Oh, this boss." This family, there's 5 families. This family's being run by Carlo Gambino. This one's Joseph Colombo.
No.
This one's Carlo, and
Yeah.
because those guys were bosses at the time that Joseph Valachi testified, those families will forever be known as the family that is by that name. Now, if you look at Colombo, he had a very short reign. He became boss, and not too long later, he was shot in the head in the public square. He didn't have an impressive reign. They actually kind of hated him because he was very like John Gotti-esque. He was all up in the newspapers and everything. But he just so happened to be the boss at the time that Valachi testified. So, it will always be known as the Colombo family.
Yeah. So that's where it was all basically set for history right at that time, I guess, right?
Yeah. That one moment that Joseph Valachi killing that dude in prison, beating him to death, and then deciding to flip and turn witness is what did it for Carlo Gambino.
It's unbelievable how that one guy.
Yeah. And the only reason is because I talked about this in part 4 of the episode I just put out, and it wasn't that he gave, like, honestly, Joseph Valachi was actually kind of a nobody. He wasn't important. It was just that, like, up until that point where Joseph Valachi took the stand and testified, the mafia was like the Illuminati, like we all know it exists, but all the government officials say that it doesn't. There's no thing that's coming forward and like solidifying it, And I think that that's why Joseph Valachi is so remembered, is that he's the first person that ever testified. Not that he gave the most information out of any rat, not that, anything he said was super special. He was just the first one to do it. And that's why his testimony was so special.
I think you're right. He really set this. He said it.
There you go. Genovese did that. Joseph Valachi never would have testified if Genovese didn't give him the kiss of death.
So there's Genovese, yeah. So it was Genovese.
Yeah. Honestly.
So what Genovese was supposed to do, he should have backdoored him like he backdoored everybody else.
Yeah.
He didn't backdoor him. He went right in his face. Bad move.
He could have just had him killed, but he had to tell him he was going to have him killed. And
That's
so
what I
he
mean.
took
He
down
had
the
to tell
entire
him.
family. Great job, bro.
Great job, Vito, right? Good job, Vito. He ruined the whole thing as it is right now. Oh, my God. Great job, Vito.
I was thinking about it. I don't know why, but I've been thinking about this a lot lately. And that, like, I think that as the American public, like, I think that we can all agree that, like, what we know is very propagandized, what we think we know is not what is reality, right? So, like, we all look at it and we're like, oh, the mafia doesn't exist anymore. The government tells us that they took the mafia down, so the mafia can't exist. I just had a short go up recently about the Black Hand, and somebody commented on it, and they were talking about how Carlo Marcello, his son right now, controls the entire Mississippi River.
See?
If you think about the scope of that, if you think about the scope of the Mississippi River, which is probably one of, if not the highest earning, like, waterways in America, think about the freaking income if you get a piece of everything that goes through the Mississippi River. And that's going to the mafia. So, like, is the mafia really as dead as we think it is?
No.
Like,
it's changed. It's different.
Yeah.
Look, when you don't see headlines, it means they're doing it right.
Exactly.
See, a lot of people go by headlines as validation of what's actually going on in the mafia. Nobody's getting pinched or anything is dead. They're actually being smart.
Yeah.
If they're not getting pinched, if they're not making headlines, they're making money
all the time. Like, we constantly see headlines.
Yeah.
5 Gambino members going to jail, 15 Genovese guys going to jail. It's all over the place all the time. But the government is so good in their propaganda. They're so good at convincing us, like, we took care of that problem. We took them down. No, you didn't. You didn't do shit. Like,
you're right. You're 100% correct. So, yeah, okay, a bookmaker on the corner, that is no more. I get that. I understand that. but they move on to bigger and different things. They do battle with the technology aspect, which can be very, very difficult to operate because you can't even jaywalk today. It's very, very difficult. But to say that an organized criminal organization is totally gone, dead, out, no, cannot be, will not be. There will always be something to earn on.
Yeah.
Always.
And I also think that they heavily restructured when they started having the flood of rats. When Rico came, and instead of getting 10 years for something, you got life, and everybody started flipping. I think that they completely reorganized in a way that a guy like Joseph Valachi wouldn't have access to the information that would take the entire mafia down.
Yeah.
I think that they made it so that, let's say, the commission, you may know who the commission is, but anyone that's below a certain point would never know the decisions that they're making. And that's the way it needs to be, because if you got a street guy that's doing like illegal gambling dens and he gets pinched and he turns around and rats, he cannot be able to take down the entire life. Like, it cannot happen. It is unsustainable. So I think whatever restructuring they did was really smart because it's working.
Yeah, it's working. It's not dead. So what you were saying, I want to go back in time now. What you were saying about Luciano getting convicted of being a
compensatory prostitution. Yeah,
that's a RICO charge, basically.
Right. Yep.
In different clothing. That's a whole RICO thing with different clothing on it. It's a RICO charge, basically.
But RICO didn't exist anymore because
it didn't exist, but they went that route. They went that route.
Fucking, it's unbelievable. God, I hate Giuliani more than I hate Vito.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. See, Giuliani got what he got to come back now. It's all coming around. RICO that he put in place is coming back to get him now. So,
I love that. I love that.
Great.
But at the same time, he's still sitting at Trump's little, he's shining Trump's shoes. So really, how bad off is he? Because we got the new president. Like, Trump's never going to let anything happen to Giuliani.
So here we go. Here's a question from ALV. What does the mafia make money on these days? Well, it's not the corner bookmaker. It's probably
unfortunate. Like what I just said. They're controlling the Mississippi waterways and those kind of like high earning stuff. What do you think, Tommy?
Yeah, I think it's bigger than just that. It's still construction, obviously. There's still that going. I'm going to guess there's still construction stuff going on. But I do think they do mix legitimate with underworld. I do think they mix it up. I do think they invest in legitimate businesses, because remember, you can't hide money anymore. It's very, very difficult.
Oh, you do things like my industry. My industry is teeming with mafia. You go to, I would say, a good
finance.
40% of my industry has mafia ties.
So it's white collar more than anything now, right? It's white collar more than anything. And you saw that happen with Nicky Scarfo's kid, $30 million, whatever it was. Nicky Scarfo, the kid's, he's doing 30 years right now. Look, the LaCasio kid, he did it. They're into white collar, and they get these 10, 15, 20, $30 million hits.
Yeah, but I do got to say, I think that a lot of that is just straight stupidity, because you look at Carlo Gambino's kids, right? He has two kids, Thomas and Joseph.
Yeah.
Yes. I think he had a few, but Thomas and Joseph are the ones that went into the mafia.
Yeah.
They had a business that was so big that when the government was referring to this business, they didn't call it a trucking company. They called it a trucking monopoly. It was so big and powerful that other trucking places did not exist in their space. It didn't happen. Now. Yet, when Sammy the Bull flipped on them and John Gotti sat in a jail where he rotted away for the rest of his life, guess what happened to Tommy Gambino and Joseph Gambino? Dog shit. They had to sell their business. That's what happened. Why? Because Carlo Gambino taught his sons how to be in the mafia and how to be smart criminals. Put 15 safeguards in between you and the racket that you're doing and shut the fuck up. Do not tell people. Bro, I had no idea. Okay, I was born in a hospital. Literally born in a hospital. Spent my entire life going to this hospital. It's right down the road. I've known this hospital my entire life, and I've always seen the name Gambino on there, and I'm like, it can't be that Gambino. That's crazy. It can't be. Turns out it is. Tommy Gambino.
Yeah. That's
made
Tommy
a
Gambino.
$2 million
Yeah,
donation to open Long Island Jewish. I was
yeah.
born in that hospital. I had no idea it came from the
It's
Gambino
unbelievable. That
family.
was Tommy Gambino. Yes.
So like they're just smarter, and I think these
So,
guys need like a master class in the mafia, because that guy never would have gotten 15 years if he had the kind of schooling.
but who did they learn it from?
Carlo.
Carlo. So you think way back to when Vito was trying to manipulate his brain, he was thinking big picture. Now look where we are right now with that name. How he went along with Vito, but thought big. I think the guys, you got to give him the credit for being the intellect that he has. It's unbelievable.
Oh, and no, listen, there's many things that I will say about Carlo Gambino. One thing I will never say about him is that he's dumb. That dude
No,
is one of
totally
the
opposite.
smartest people to ever be born. If he wanted to, he 100% could have been president. He would have been the first president not born on American soil. He could have done it. He
Wow.
just chose the mafia route, which is super funny
Wow.
because he's like a product of incest, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
incest went on. But even marrying your cousin and having kids with her, you still had the most brilliant friggin' minds of a
Yeah.
generation. Like
Well,
Tommy and Joseph,
yeah.
brilliant.
Look, Gianni, but he did have the brains of his father. So yes, you would give it to Thomas. I get it. I understand 100%. But our fathers guide us. So, all right, his father
Yeah.
guided him.
Yeah,
Father
no,
guided him.
and that's what I'm saying. Like the guy that you were talking about, that $30 million doing 15
Yeah.
years, if he had been taught, if he had been the son of Gambino, he would have had the same outcome because he would have done the same safety precautions.
But he may not have get that 30. He wouldn't have been that, he would have been smarter, maybe.
Yeah.
Had he had Don Carlo's wisdom.
Yeah. Well,
Because
and it does make a huge difference when you don't really have to scrap. Like Carlo Gambino had to scrap. He came from nothing. And a
yes,
lot of
he
these
did.
guys, most of the people in the mafia, they come from nothing. You don't go in the
Yeah.
mafia because you're
He
rich
was
and
a
it's
stowaway.
something to
He was
do.
a stowaway. He wasn't even on the boat. He was a stowaway.
On the Vincenzo Florio. Yep.
It's unbelievable. He was a stowaway. And how can you hurt a guy that was a stowaway? You
And
can't.
he was denied entrance into America.
He was
He
denied.
literally went to jail because he tried to get in America, and they were like, fuck no, get the hell out of here.
Right.
You ain't coming. And then he
So
just
how
came a different way.
right. So how can you get over on that type? How can you hurt him? You can't really hurt him. What's the worst that you can do to him? Kill him or send him back? What he can handle anything. He was in the bottom of a boat for how many 9 days, 20 days, however long it took him to get here.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere like 3 weeks.
Yeah, whatever it is. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's interesting. It's interesting, and it's an interesting topic, and he's a really interesting individual to dig into. Now, you have videos about it, right? You did a series about it?
So right now, tomorrow morning, I'll be putting out the last part 4.
Wonderful. Okay, we're going to get
And they're
that
like
into
an
my...
hour and a half each. So there's a lot
Beautiful.
jam-packed into every single episode.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to get that into my community tab tomorrow. So once you release that, I'll put all 5 next to it. You're doing, it's 5, Pete? 5?
4 parts.
4, so I'll put all
part
4.
The last part's coming out, yeah.
Now, do you put them in, what do you call that? What's that thing called?
Playlists, yeah.
Playlist. Put it in a playlist? You do it like that?
And like, so when I put out part 4, I'll put in the description, like, watch part 1 here, part 2 here, part 3 here, and then I'll go back to part 1 and say you can watch part 2, so I put the links into every single one of them, so you can always find your way around on my channel.
You got it. Yes, your page is nice to navigate through. It's easy.
I do my
You can really find it. You can find good stuff there. You do good stuff. So you see what happens when we talk about an individual. Like you see, you can't talk about Carlo Gambino. You can't talk about Carlo Gambino and not go into Vito Genovese's story or this one story. At that time, it was all mingled together. If you fast forward into modern day, they're not that mingled together. They're not that. The stories don't really come together. All this historical stuff is not there.
Right.
If you go to the John Gotti, Joe Messino era, all those backstories that you're talking about that we're mentioning right now, those historic stories, they don't exist.
See, I don't really know. I honestly, I haven't really done much research into like the living guys. So
right. The modern time and the backstories, they're totally different. They're totally different. It's unbelievable. So what do we got here? Want to go through some comments here? Yeah. Let's see.
Wait, so why do you think that is? Why do you think it's so different and like such a separation now where it was always historically so intermingled and now it's not?
Because you said it before, they're all paisans. They're all tight. They're all close. Remember when Paul Castellano said about John Gotti? John Gotti, he was an outsider to him. He was a sleazy. He wasn't Sicilian. He was, what was John Gotti? John Gotti's what? What's his body? What's his body? What's
He
his
was
body?
born in America. I have no idea where
Yeah.
he was born.
What's his background? What he called him sleazy, whatever he is. So I think it was because they were all
From the
like you
same
said.
area.
We call them Bares, but he was Napolitan. He called them a sleazy Napoli,
Yeah.
So that's where it is. Now
And
you
that
got to
makes
remember,
total sense as well because
guys like Joe Bonanno would speak to nobody but Sicilians. He wanted to even, never mind Italian, from his area, like from his block, basically. He didn't
I
want to
talk
go
about
outside
that
his
all the
block.
time on my
Not
channel.
even
I'm
just
like,
Sicily, but not even just Sicily. He wouldn't speak to anybody outside his radius.
that's I talk about that. I'm like, I'm from Long Island, okay? You're from Brooklyn? Ugh, I want you dead. And you're
Right.
from New Jersey? Oh, I'm coming. I'm killing you. Like that is the friggin' mindset of these guys, 100%.
That was it. That was Joe Bonanno's. And then Castellano, he varied a little bit.
Castellano was actually like he was born in Castellammare del Golfo.
Yeah.
Like he was very much in that like background and mindset. I think maybe when you get to like the John Gotti era, you kind of start to lose that. And that's why
Yeah.
Carlo Gambino was like, no more. We're not doing any more made guys, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
and the funny thing is, John Gotti and Anthony,
Who?
Antonio, not sure. Ruggiero, they were the
Angelo.
only guys to
Angelo.
ever get made in that time period. That
Angelo.
1957
They
to
got made right away,
1976. It was
76.
just Gotti and Ruggiero because they clipped what's his face? Jimmy
Yeah.
Jimmy someone.
So that was
because
Dick
they killed
Ratney, the
Gambino's
Irish guy.
nephew.
But that was being so on Don Carlo's part, that was being a little hypocritical.
Well, no, because the reason that they were able to be made was because Gambino came out because this Irish dude had been kidnapping Italians and killing them. And this dude comes out and he kidnaps Gambino's nephew. And he's he goes to the wife and he's like, all right, I'll give him back to you for 400 grand. Mm-hmm. So she's paying him. She's giving him like 30, 40, 50 grand at a time. She's almost there. And she finds out he's been dead all along. And Carlo Gambino was pissed. He was like, anybody that gives me that guy's head, instant made. I'm not going to pay you, but you will instantly become a made man. Gotti, Ruggiero, and Frank someone, they go to the bar and
Galleone,
yes. Yeah. They attempt to take him out and they can't get him out of the bar. But he throws a little shit fit and so they pop him in the head in the bar. And in front of an entire crowd, but because Galleone got killed after they had killed the guy, but before trial, Galleone was killed. And he was the one that actually pulled the trigger. They actually wound up going to jail for like 4 years for manslaughter. But yeah, as soon as they came out, they got their buttons and they're the only people that got the buttons on those time.
So he opened it up because it was the opportune time.
Just for them, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Kill my nephew. Okay, let's see about that.
It's unbelievable. But then you see, and that was the demise, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, and I do gotta say, like, as much as I think it's grimy that he closed the books and he kind of like fought against what he was there for, at the same time, so he was overruled when the books were opened back up. He was still alive, but it was a vote against him. If it was a commission, there was four families because the Bonanno family was still on the outs. They weren't allowed to vote, and it was 3-1. Everybody wanted to make new men. So they did like a maybe a little bit. So each family got 10 guys that could be made. Out of those 50 guys that got their buttons, you got Sammy the Bogavano, who obviously we know the damage he did. Joe Pistone came in that same year. So like there was merit to Carlo Gambino's madness. Like it made sense when you look at the guys that were in at that time, like maybe he was onto something,
He was seeing the big picture, just like I said what he said about Vito, trying to get him to kill Anastasia, as you say it, right? The
I'm
right
sorry.
way to say it.
I'm
That's
sorry.
right. But but you got to remember, he also had that many guys that he didn't need anybody at that time.
Yeah.
His family was good, 500 and 1,000. They were good from across the country, from end to end.
But you
So
also got to remember when you
he
have
didn't need
people
to fill
killing
his
in your
ranks at that
name,
time.
when you have people killing in your name, you can't tell people, oh, it's going to be 20 years and I'm going to have you pop a person a week.
Wow.
And you're just never going to get you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like they're not working towards anything. You're not getting paid to do these hits. You're not getting respect because you're never going to get that button. People lived and died their entire mafia career in that span that there was nobody being made. You know what I mean? Like
I know.
I feel like that was a period of like the black plague of the mafia. It was just there was no hope. Like that's what every mafia guy works for. Like what are you doing? What are you doing this for? You're not getting paid. You're not getting made. Why do
Well,
it? You
they
know?
were all associates for a long time. Some people were associates for 40 years, never got made.
Yeah.
But they made a living. Some of them made a living. It's unbelievable. It's very interesting. It really is interesting. That whole time period and us being able to talk about it and know about it and research about it and have a little connection to it in some ways. We are the end of anybody that would be able to talk about this in this type of level.
Mm-hmm.
You and I, maybe some people that's basically because I remember some of it because I was around. Obviously, I'm 55, so I was around some of it. So I saw that whole change. I saw that whole time period. I saw when Gotti became boss. We saw all of that. I was in high school. We saw all of this happening. And
my uncle was made at the time. He was around. He was like playing in and out of Gotti's crew. That's what made him end up actually leaving. It was like, now I'm gonna get killed because I'm gonna kill him, and they're gonna kill me. So I'm just gonna take off.
So I think it came back around when it had to.
Yeah.
I think even though I think it opened up at the time that it had to open up.
I wonder what it's like now. I really do. Like, do they still make guys? Is that a thing still?
Yeah, still a thing. Yes.
Okay.
It's still a thing.
I don't know. It's just so sad to me. Like, imagine, because I know in the mafia, you don't get paid for doing hits. It's like the respect factor. You're doing it for.
Well, they're not hitting anybody anymore. That's the good thing is, and the smart thing is, they're not hitting people now, which is a good thing,
right.
But a bad thing. Because it's been proven when a guy catches a 30, 40 year bid, a life bid, they're going to flip. You don't have the Bobby Gabert. You don't have the Bobby Gaberts anymore. You don't have the Bobby Manas anymore. You don't have the John Gottis anymore. They're not taking it and going into a cage. It's not, unfortunately, and it's just the way it is. It's typically not going to happen. So remove the bodies, but then you lose something else. The fear factor goes away.
Right.
So it's just crazy. But look at Mikey Scars. He was not clipped. He was shelved and did more damage than many along the way. 80 guys he testified against. So I don't know, man. It's so crazy. But who would want to be today? You got to be nuts. You got to be out of your mind. Clipping someone, you're done. The good thing is that has been removed. So that's not really happening. So what are you catching? You're catching 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, bookmaking, loan sharking, extortion, whatever they're into now. So it's very interesting where it has gone.
I still think it'd be worth it.
Yeah, I don't
but again,
know.
That's like the mental case in me and why everybody.
Yeah,
because I'm a.
You got that in your brain.
Yeah,
Mikey Scars was the biggest.
These guys. Fuck yes, I do. But again, it's hard when you come from a family filled with these people, and it's like you see that way of life, and you're just like, it's not bad. Like,
well, no, it's not. But it becomes second nature when you grow up around it, as we both know. When you grow up around it, you don't even realize there's something wrong is going on. You don't even realize it until one day. It's when you realize it, until that one day.
Yep.
Make trunk rides great again. Yeah, that's never. That you can't do it. You can't pull it off today.
You know what though? Like Roy DeMeo was pretty modern. Like if you look at it, Roy DeMeo happened in the 90s, didn't he?
What's that? Roy what?
Roy DeMeo? That was
Yeah.
like the 90s. Like I
Yeah.
was alive for Roy DeMeo. So it's
Yeah,
pretty
that was
wild to
yeah.
think about that. Roy DeMeo had a body count on him. They had a whole murder method named after him in his
That was in the early 80s, late 70s.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Because Castellano had him clipped. See? Castellano disposed of him after he was done disposing of others.
Yeah. Which is so funny to me. I love that because Castellano was only able to be killed because he had Roy DeMeo killed. If he had not had Roy DeMeo killed, Castellano would have lived forever. And that makes me happy.
Because if Castellano had to go, or the whole Gotti crew would have been gone.
Yeah, but would that be the worst thing?
No, I'm just saying that's what would have happened. That's why that crew had to get rid of.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is if Paul Castellano had not turned around and said, you know what, we're going to get rid of Roy DeMeo, that Castellano tried to go to Gotti and ask Gotti to take out DeMeo, and Gotti was like, fuck out of here. Absolutely not. So if he hadn't actually ever had Roy DeMeo killed, Castellano, they never would have made a move on him. You think Gotti would have gone after Castellano if Roy
No,
DeMeo
I think Castellano would have eventually told DeMeo to go after Gotti's crew.
Yeah, which would have been way better off. I mean, I hate
them.
to say it, like, you know, the Gemini crew had to come down. But
Yeah,
at the same time, where would the Mafia be right now if things had played out like that? Like, let's look at an alternate universe where Roy DeMeo was never killed, so Paul Castellano was never killed, and therefore Sammy the Bull never existed. You know,
it goes to Tommy Gambino. The mob goes in a whole different direction.
Yeah, and a better one.
A whole different, doesn't go to street route. It goes mixed street and mixed corporate. It would probably have gone to Tommy Gambino eventually. Because Gambino,
Tommy Gambino, I think.
That's probably where it would have gone, unless his father said, you know, this is I'm the end of this. We're making Paul, but that's the end of it. It's gonna. So maybe he would have. Who knows? We don't know. It's all hypotheticals. What if, you know? But
I love to think about that though. Like
I do too. I would think it would be Tommy Gambino, and I think it would have been taken to a different level.
Yeah, it would have been so much better, so much higher. We would have New York would be a whole different state right now. Like we would never be dealing with the shit that we're dealing with right now. Hell no.
But so many people, and I got to tell you from experience, so many people did good under Gotti that people don't know about, because why would you? But he did help a lot of regular guys get jobs and stuff like that, where you would have never been able to get to a Tommy Gambino from a little city here in Nutley, New Jersey, Belleville, New Jersey. You probably wouldn't have been able to get the ear of or the approval of someone like Tommy Gambino. They would be so removed from the street. So street guys did well under Gotti.
But you got to look at why. Why would Gotti have been taken out? Why, if Roy DeMeo hadn't been killed, why would the Gambino crew, why would the Gotti crew get taken out? Why? Because Angelo Ruggiero had loose freaking lips and took the commission down. Why do you think the commission trials happened? Because of fucking Gotti and his people.
Yeah. So they would have been gone. No, they would have been gone 100%.
Down the route that, like, literally, it's like watching dominoes. Like, if Roy DeMeo hadn't been killed, if Paul Castellano hadn't had Roy DeMeo killed, Paul Castellano wouldn't have been killed, right? Then if that hadn't happened, then John Gotti wouldn't become boss. And if he hadn't protected Angelo Ruggiero, who had the commission trial go down, then he wouldn't have gone down via Sammy the Bull. So it's like, it's watching these guys spell their own demise. It really is. And it really is. Like, Gotti wasn't a bad guy, but he stood up for bad guys. And if you look at like Salvatore Ruggiero, he went down in I thought that was so cool because like I was living in Savannah at the time. I was living in Savannah, Georgia.
Airplane, right?
Salvatore Ruggiero went down in Tybee Beach in Savannah, Georgia. His plane crashed with 40 tons of heroin on it. And that is what like initiated the Mafia Commission trial. And that's why they wanted to take the Gotti crew out. So it's like, if that hadn't happened, the Gotti crew would have been taken out, but that's only because Gotti was protecting Angelo Ruggiero, who was literally known as a blabbermouth.
Yeah.
That's not the guy for the mafia, man.
It's true. Yeah, it's very interesting, and we get to talk about this because it all unfolded. I mean, we saw it all unfold.
I know.
It's
The Mafia
unbelievable.
Commission trial is so cool to dig in. You ever like do
Oh,
digging into the Mafia
that is
Commission trial?
crazy.
Freaking epic.
It's
I love it.
crazy.
I
It
love it.
really, it's so deep. The FBI files on that is insane.
You know what I actually
Because because what people only know is bits and pieces from the media and what you may read in a Google search. There's so much deeper than that. When you get into the nuts and bolts of it, it's insanity. If you are if you are interested in this type of thing and you get into those files, now it may not be of interest to a lot of people. It may not be. It really may not be, because they like that burst, that headline burst. They like that big story. But the intricacies, the details, the conversations, the just everything about it is just it's mind-boggling. It's unbelievable.
This is not weed. It's just a cigarette. I used to smoke like 2 packs a day. I quit a few years ago. I started back up when I was in the Army, and I quit again. But it's because of this. So this is just a regular cigarette.
The Penn State guy. Yeah, Gotti had to kill Castellano to save him and his whole crew. 100%. He had no choice.
No.
He had no choice.
No. Disagree. 100% disagree. Gotti was petrified of Roy DeMeo. That's why he never made a move on Castellano. Do I think he wanted to? Absolutely. Do I think he would have wanted to kill Castellano? Yes. But if Roy DeMeo was alive, there is no way in hell he would have moved against Paul Castellano. Everybody
right. No. Considering that Roy DeMeo's gone, they had to take out Castellano.
Yes. Once they took out DeMeo, but she said even if Roy DeMeo hadn't died, Gotti would have gone after Castellano. I 100% disagree with that. I think that if Roy DeMeo had stayed alive, everybody would have stayed away from Castellano because they were petrified of DeMeo. There's literally a murder method known as the Gemini method. Gutting, bleeding, and disposing of bodies because of the body count of this crew. Gotti never would have gone up against DeMeo. Never. The only reason he had the balls to do it was because DeMeo was gone.
Yeah, but Gianni, check it out. He had a choice. They could have let him go to jail, but he had to pick a boss, and it wasn't going to be Gotti. He would have had to pick a boss, and it wouldn't have been Gotti.
True.
Who knows?
Very true. He definitely wouldn't have been Gotti. No, 100%. It would have been Bilotti.
Yeah,
but what would be bad about that?
No, it might be okay. But
so that's what I'm saying. Like if DeMeo had never died, the Mafia would be leaps and bounds above where they are now. Like it would have been much, much, much better.
Yeah, it was going to be Bilotti. Yeah, I agree. Kind of was scared. Yeah, he was a nutcase. But what happens if Gotti doesn't kill Paul? Does Paul not have Gotti killed for God? Castellano has them all killed. If he doesn't kill Castellano, they're all dead.
I don't know about that. So Castellano made it pretty clear he had no beef with Gotti. The only beef he ever had with Gotti was that Gotti wouldn't hand over Ruggiero. The only beef that ever existed there was that Ruggiero was a blabbermouth, and he got on tapes and was saying like, "Oh, Castellano, the boss of the Gambino family, is a drug dealer, and he's this and he's that." And Castellano wanted those tapes, and Gotti said, "Not happening, bro." And then Castellano said, "Okay, Gotti, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to kill you." There was never a direct beef between Castellano and Gotti. If Gotti had just handed Ruggiero over for the problems that he caused, everything would have been fine. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but Ruggiero had to go, which I find so cool that, like, Ruggiero is still around these days. Like, what's her face is a Ruggiero. The morning news girl.
Oh, yeah.
She's married to Ruggiero's son.
Wow.
Oh, God damn it. What's her name?
I don't know.
Rosanna
Scotto?
Rosanna Scotto.
Rosanna
That
Scotto,
is Anthony Scotto's daughter.
Yes.
And then she married Angelo Ruggiero's nephew.
Wow, interesting.
And then her son is a rat. Did you hear that whole thing?
No.
So she has a son. And I think I told you about it.
Who, Rosanna Scotto's son?
Yeah, so Rosanna Scotto has a son with Angelo Ruggiero's nephew.
Okay.
Now, their son goes to the gym one day, and he's like doing a little workout, and his best friend comes through, and he's like, "Yo, I had the craziest night last night. Okay. I killed this dude and I dumped his body in a fucking field. So what is Rosanna Scotto's son, Angelo Ruggiero's nephew, and Anthony Scotto's grandson? What does he do? He goes and takes the stand. Oh my God, my best friend told me that he killed this dude and he buried his body in a field.
He's a rat, her son?
Yes. And he didn't even have to. It wasn't even like he was a rat because he was in trouble. Like he had a moral conscience. He felt bad because some drug dealer got killed by his best friend.
Wow. So what happened to that guy? He went away, obviously.
Yeah, that dude went to jail for the rest of his life for murder because of Rosanna Scotto's son.
That's unbelievable.
And everybody applauded him. Oh my God, he's so moral. He's so brave. He stood up against the murderer. That drug dealer that got murdered because he was like trying to kill someone. And this dude's best friend was like a college graduate, like fast track to Wall Street, just his whole life taken out because Anthony Scotto's fucking grandson felt morally obligated to.
That is unbelievable. That is sick.
Ugh.
That is really sick.
I don't know.
He volunteered the information.
Like, you grow up in this life, bro. How do you not have this shit drilled into you? Like, come on. I'm a third generation, very far removed, and I live by these principles. You don't? Anthony Scotto's grandson? Are you kidding?
I know. Come on, man. You got to know, right? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And what does he do? What is his deal? What's Scotto's kid do?
I don't even know. I know at the time he was in college. I never really looked. He's a train wreck, though. He's like constantly going down for dealing cocaine to undercover.
Rosanna Scotto's son?
Yeah.
Oh, he just wanted him off the street then.
It was his best friend.
He wanted him out of the way.
I guess. Maybe.
Yeah.
It's a wrong way to go about it, dude.
A horrible way. No, total wrong way.
Don't take the stand.
He wanted him out of the way.
So you take the stand, like,
he's
I don't know about you, but if I'm looking for a drug dealer, my drug dealer is not going to be the one that took the stand on someone. Absolutely
he's a garbage pail, but I think he wanted him out of the way. He's a garbage pail.
It's possible. It's possible.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
I know that Anthony Scotto is rolling over in his freaking grave that his grandson did that. Oh, my heart.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. You see all these things you never know.
Did you? I don't know. I never heard that. I heard that he fought for those tapes until death. But again, I make it a point to not get any like rumors or anything that's not Googleable. Okay. So like, even if that were true, I would never take that to a video. Cause like, I don't want to know family secrets. Okay. I'm not,
no way.
I'm not out here spilling secrets that Google doesn't know.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
That would be interesting though. I could kind of see it though. I mean, I don't know. I do feel like he always knew that Gotti was one of his number one people. Like he had Roy DeMeo, he had John Gotti, and that was like his powerhouse. So why would you start such a beef with like your number one person? You know, like that seems kind of silly and unnecessary. And Paul Castellano doesn't seem the type to like start unnecessary beef and drama for nothing. I think he seemed a lot more smart than that. So I don't think that's very reasonable or like realistic, but I mean, fuck do I know?
See, we'll never know. So those are some stories that are buried that we'll never know.
Yeah.
You know, we go hypotheticals and what ifs and this and that, and we don't, you don't know. And I say that about a lot of things. People that deliver this type of content, they deliver it with such that they know it as if they were there, right? Yeah. Nobody really knows. Everything is my information. My research tells me this. When you are that stuck that you know, you're stuck.
If you knew, you wouldn't be fucking online. I promise you that. If you
you wouldn't be on YouTube.
Wouldn't be on YouTube.
Right. Wouldn't be on YouTube.
And I say that all the time. Like, you know what? It's 100% possible that what I report is wrong. If the newspaper got it wrong, I get it wrong. Okay,
as long as you know
to family members, I'm not getting family secrets. If New York Times is wrong, I'm wrong.
The best thing is that you admit that and you know that there are people that deliver this content with such arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
and they're debating each other about who's accurate or not. Motherfucker, if you weren't there, you don't know either. So have a nice conversation, put out your content, do what you do. My research says this, and I can be wrong. But here's an interesting aspect of this story. And if you do it like that, you're golden. You're good.
And that's like, I get people on my comments all the time. Oh, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
This is wrong.
right.
This is wrong. Okay, well then tell Tuesday that, because that's where I got it from, bitch.
Exactly.
I'm not hitting up grandchildren and asking for family secrets. If Google doesn't know, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. There is no part of me that's like, oh yeah, let's find hidden information and get the Castellano kids that are still alive in trouble. Like this whole JFK shit. Oh, I'm dying for it. I'm itching for it, but I'm gonna have nothing to do with it, like with
this is a good comment, because you'll never see Dana talk about anybody current. It'll never happen.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know what's going on with these guys that are.
And I'll tell you why. So Dana's bringing you historical aspects of it, because you don't want to listen. People are starving for content and views and subs if they are putting out current stuff. You're jamming people up. You're putting a spotlight on somebody. You got to be a garbage pail to report on current happenings. You got to be a garbage pail. Now, if you report on a story such and such, a Dux is in the chat. Dux took a pinch, got a 3-year bookmaking charge. Susan got a 5-year pushing age charge. Tony, news stuff, news.
Right.
But not, I heard that such and such is coming up in the ranks and this kind of shit.
Going and sitting down with like mafia guys that are going on right now and like having secret rendezvous conversation. I will never be that person.
Right. There's guys reporting that their sit downs over Joe Emilino having a podcast. What are you, nuts?
I've heard that.
I mean, come on, what are you doing? So they're mentioning names. Such and such said
He's
this.
not the boss
such
anymore because of
that.
his YouTube. Oh, that sounds like a whole lot of your fucking business.
Yep. So let me explain to you what's going on, Dana, that people don't even know. There's people on the street feeding them the wrong information on purpose now.
That makes sense. Good.
And they're putting this wrong information out there.
Good.
And it's all fake. It's all made up. They give them the information. They know the content creator will never say the source, but they're feeding them all fake things.
I mean, if anybody believes what they hear on YouTube, they're fucking idiots anyway.
No, you can't. You just got to take it, and like I said, and you said it too, unless you were right there, you have no idea.
And if you were right there and you're on YouTube, you're a piece of shit. So either you're a piece of shit or you're wrong. So, and I'm okay with being wrong. That's the thing. I will never be a piece of shit, but I'm okay with being wrong. If Newsday got it wrong, so did I, because I'm not like, I've had a lot of people like, oh, this is my grandfather. You want to hear a story that nobody ever knows? No. Like, I don't want to know. I do not want to know. But that's what I'm saying. So like with Trump just got elected and he came out and said, hey, if I get elected for another term, I'm releasing everything with JFK and his files. And I'm clamping at the bit. I cannot wait for that to happen. However, if I had information that would be in those files, because we all know that Carlo Marcello killed JFK. We all know that. And that's why I'm talking about like the comment where his son is controlling the Mississippi River. That's going to be a problem when Trump releases those records and proves that, the mafia did this, blah, blah, blah. But like, if I had that information, but I couldn't Google it, you wouldn't hear it on my channel.
Yeah.
And it makes me crazy when people do that. I can't stand it but then again, you got to think those people that are doing that shit, they grew up with like, oh, my mom worked for CBS News, not like, oh, my my uncle was a made guy, like it's just a different lifestyle. So I mean, I don't know, to each his own, I guess.
See, look at this. As a citizen doing mob shows, you must have a code yourself and have respect for people.
Absolutely did.
That's right. That's 100% right, Penn State guy. Yeah, you're right. It's unbelievable. It's good stuff. Yeah. So it wasn't the Cubans after all. We don't know. It's only research. Nobody knows.
So I'll tell you that I personally, I got lost. Okay. So like, obviously I enjoy going into this like history stuff.
Yeah.
I found the JFK files that they released. I think it was like 2021. They released it. I had a job. You wouldn't know that. Okay. Cause I just spent my whole life reading these FBI files. And from what the FBI has put out, The FBI tries to get you to believe that it was the Cubans. They fully, if you read the FBI files, you will walk away from those FBI files thinking that it was the Cuban government that killed JFK.
It's unbelievable.
I don't
Wow.
think that that's true. I don't think that's true at all. I 100% believe that it was Carlo Marcello, and it was because of Joey Adonis and Lucky Luciano. Like,
Yeah.
the whole thing was JFK promised to bring them back, and he didn't.
He didn't. So the files will have you going in a different direction.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. If you read those files, so they talk about, like, so the official story is that, you know, Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK, and then that Jack whatever, came through and he killed Lee Harvey Oswald just because he was like a psychopath. If you read the FBI files, they'll tell you that Jack dude actually was at the Cuban embassy 2 days before he killed Lee Harvey Oswald. He 100% was like the FBI, they pretty much lead you down the road of like, he was in collaboration with the Cuban government. Like, the Cuban government hired Jack to kill Lee Harvey Oswald because they hired Lee Harvey Oswald to kill JFK.
Yeah.
Is that the case? I
It's
don't think so.
unbelievable.
But yeah, if you read the FBI files, that's what you'll get from it. You'll get that it was the Cuban government.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There's so much stuff. All right, let's wrap it up. So our first hit was Carlo Gambino. We went in a whole bunch of different topics, which is good, which is what we do here, which we're going to continue to do here. And every week we'll pick another name to start it off with, and then we'll go wherever it goes. This was fun. I enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope they
really
did.
enjoyed this. Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
We had good interaction. It was nice.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. I loved it.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. We're going for an hour. We're an hour and 15 minutes. But yeah, that's it. That's basically it, guys. We're going to wrap it up. You good, Day?
Oh, good. Thanks, guys, so much.
All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. All right, there we go. And